Hi everybody, and welcome to another Locals long play video. This week I brought Wind Seiryuu Guoja, one of the best decks in the format, to my local, and got to play against some good opponents. Should be a pretty good one. We're going to get into the matches shortly. I hope you enjoy. Thanks. But first, before we get started, I do always want to remind everybody, this is Locals, and this is largely for fun. You will see some misplays, you will see some takebacks, you will see some plays that are maybe questionable or a bit greedy. Please, have an open mind, be considerate. Advice is appreciated, but know that it's not always, top level gameplay that you're gonna see here. So thanks so much for watching, thanks for the support, and let me know in the comments what you'd like to see next. Okay, so here we have the first match of the night. I'm on the left here with Wind Seiryuu Guoja, and my opponent is on the right with Water Fractals Diao-chan. This is a pretty good matchup, pretty common matchup, I think, for the current meta. I think you'll see both of these decks have performed pretty well at the high level in recent events. And yeah, we'll get to it. So we're both looking glass decks. I think everybody's on kind of the Unmake Duality, turbocharged style of deck. Draw a lot of cards early on, accrue a bunch of influence, make sure your defenses are up. Taking a look at my hand here, I have a pretty solid, pretty standard wind hand. Baby Green Slime, Forest Cake, Windmill Engineer, Asin, all the stuff that you want. So I have my opponent playing a Gentle Respite into a Fractal of Insight here. Glimpse is both on top, that's a little scary. I draw for turn, looks like I got a Fairy Whispers. I'm going to take the opportunity to imbue this Windmill Engineer. My opponent went hands down to play the Gentle into the Fractal. I don't really have a way to interact with the float, so I'm just going to get my value. Windmill Engineer, swing for 1, and then Asin Protector will go on top of the Windmill Engineer. That's an 8-card play, pretty common turn 1 going second play if you're not scared of interaction. And since my opponent went hands down, there's no Refracting Missile, no counter to try to stop the Asin and get my 4 damage in. Obviously, when you see Fractal of Insight, you know it's Fractals. So you want to start to apply the pressure because they can kill you pretty fast. My opponent levels up into Diao-chan, takes the Recollect. Early level up into Diao-chan, but I guess once you have the float, it's kind of, it's kind of fine at any time to go into it, and this also dodges the Thurible. So, I mean, if you're going to spend the float anyways at this point, it's really like Diao-chan or Scepter. Second Fractal of Insight comes in, no Glimpse. Appears like no Glimpse. Yep, no Glimpse. And then Fractal of Snow behind that. And then I can see a Fractal of Refreshment behind that. So we're on 4 Fractals already. I'm looking at what I got. I see no defense. Maybe a Fairy Whisper can find a defense. But I'm seeing no defense. He refreshed, I believe, 1 Frostwarn. It looked like he might have had 2 Frostwarns. I'm counting here. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. It's 2 per Fractal plus 2 with a Burst Asunder. So that's already 10 damage. And then any Refracting Missile or Shimmering Refraction or anything small like that on top of that is lethal. So I'm like, okay, I gotta level up here. Guoja level 1. Get the Rock. Show him my material deck. Nothing special in there. Recollect and draw. The 19 health makes it a little harder. With 4 Fractals, it's 2 burn spells plus Burst Asunder, at which point I might be able to find some interaction. Fairy Whispers, I'm pretty desperately looking for defense, but I just take the Byaku's Command with the Unmake Duality under it because, honestly, there's not much... I don't want to risk the blind flip and hit nothing anyways, and the Unmake is really good if I stay alive. I can use the Forest Cake to get access to it now and see 2 fresh cards. My opponent, again, being hands down. Windmill comes in for 1. Thinking on this. I'm thinking here, do I want a Forest Cake and then Unmake and look for defense? I think the answer is yes. I don't remember exactly what I did. Because you really get to dig pretty deep if you do that. You get to dig 2 unknowns deep with the Unmake, as well as 1 more unknown with the end step Seiryuu trigger. So, looks like I am playing the Cake. Gonna draw into that Unmake Duality. The next card is an unknown. So I could take just 1 unknown as well. Looks like, yeah, here I am playing the Unmake Duality. Sack that Looking Glass, draw 2. So good. Hopefully find some defense here. I find a Fairy Whispers and nothing else. Rather than ship the Fairy Whispers, we'll draw a card here. I could have played the Fairy Whispers to glimpse and make it more likely I find a Veiling Breeze. Because honestly, one Veiling Breeze might have been good enough here. But it looks like I drew... I didn't quite catch the card. It might have been a blue card. Opponent thinking here. This is pretty scary. They are only on 4 influence, but they are on 4 fractals, so... You know, you get a redraw here with the Windrez Bauble. You get 2 burn spells and a Burst Asunder. I have no response, so... I'm kind of sweating, trying to keep a poker face. 3 fractals tapped is a Zhangjiao. I think for a moment here, and I'm like, alright, well, if Zhangjiao came down, I'm probably not dead if I can stop it. So I'm looking for both a Veiling Breeze or a Stifling Trap here. I end up finding neither. I ship all 3 to the bottom because I'm like, I'm super dead otherwise. And since now I can't Fairy Whispers and Stifling Trap, I'm just gonna Fairy Whispers looking for Veiling Breeze if the thing or if the kill comes out. Draws with the Wind Resonance Bauble. Like I am at 1. Unstable Fractal. So now we've got 12 from a Burst Asunder potentially. With a burn spell that's 18. So again, we're back to 1 Refracting Missile plus Burst Asunder kills me. Not a great spot to be in. I may choose to level up here. It's a bit influence negative. I have a lot of influence. I think watching this video now, I'm pretty sure I don't level, but I'm pretty sure I should have leveled here. Let's see if I'm a greedy goober and just go for a redraw. Yes, go for the backup charger. So we go for the backup charger. It's a little risky, you know. I'm watching, you know, kind of from the sky, and in hindsight, 1 Refracting Missile plus Burst Asunder killing me and me not having a defense ready. This seems pretty greedy. It's a lot harder to kill a Guoja 2 here. And in response to my recollection, the Shimmering comes in for 5, so... It's a Zhangjiao attack plus the Burst plus a Burst Asunder for game now as a potential. So I'm thinking here, Regal Inquisition, the draw for the turn, very much no bueno. Looking at my hand, I do have a Turbocharge. I actually might have got mind controlled into going to that backup charger because I saw Turbocharge earlier. So I mean, you gotta dig for defense here against the Fractals deck. There's no real other option. It's just a question of, do I want to dig with like Baby Green or do I want to dig with Turbocharge? It's probably both. I also have a DG in hand. Oh, am I thinking of Dungeon Guiding? That would make some sense as to why I didn't level. Is the Dungeon Guide here? Looks like I am trying to DG. Get my life total back up to 22. I can see an Acquiescing Rejection in my opponent's hand here. That's possibly the play. Acquiescing, going hands down, basically. It is 1 less for Cleric bonus. So I am thinking on this DG. And I'm thinking, okay, now you're down to 4 cards again, and you don't really have a redraw. Well, I snapped off that DG. Maybe I should have thought about that a little bit more, because I snapped off that DG getting countered. And I'm in a lot of danger here. Baby Green comes down, hits the Forest Cake. Am I going to Fairy Whispers as well? What am I on? 4 in hand? So Fairy Whispers would be 3 in hand. Cake would be 4 in hand. Seiryuu would be 5 in hand. I can Fairy Whispers to try to draw something better. Or like stack my draws. But I guess I can always Fairy Whispers later. At this point, though, I do take away Incapacitate as a potential draw because it's Norm and Fairy Whispers can't grab it. So if Incapacitate were somewhere in my top 3 and I would have wanted to draw it, the Fairy Whispers could have gotten me to draw it and still be on 5 in hand. Opponent going Enfeebling Orb. And I am responding to that. No, I say that's fine. I guess, yeah, you wait till he cracks it. And I have an Asen up as a blocker, so my logic here must be I'm not dead to a single Burst Asunder because Ace and Protector will intercept the Zhang Zhao attack. He comes in to the baby green. And so I am not dead to a single Burst Asunder. It has to be Burst Asunder plus Burn Spell. And I have a good amount of stuff that I can use to find defense here. Though, I mean, watching from above here, if he just rips it, I'm like super dead, right? I'm probably not finding much. He cracks the Enfeebling Orb. So now I have to go looking. I go Scout the Land. Scout the Land being the better option if you want to find a singular type of card here. Not type, like a singular role filler. You get to search 4 instead of 3. So Scout the Land will search more than Fairy Whispers will. Fairy Whispers just gives you better deck manipulation. So because I was like, I need something defensive here with this Enfeebling getting cracked, I went with Scout the Land. And looking at my 4-card hand, I got to an Innervate Agility. I have to lay 2 now because of the Enfeebling Orb. So I just have to cast the Innervate Agility. It also heals me. It puts me at 14 to die instead of 12 to die, or 13 to die, I guess. And then on the stack, he is going to respond with Refracting Missiles for 6. I do have to take that. I have no other answer. I was on top of the Innervate. Innervate still on the stack, thinking if he wants to do anything else. Tap Tua for Acquiescing Rejection. Now this one I have to let him draw 2. If he's trying to Acquiescing Rejection, this still has 3 cards in hand. I'm certainly dead if I let my Innervate get countered. So yeah, that's just got to be that. I am definitely stressed out here. I'm so dead. I have no defense. I didn't draw any of my Veilings. I didn't draw any Incapacitates to deal with anything. I have plenty of cards in hand, but really just not a lot going on otherwise. Thinking pretty hard on this one. It is a pretty hard decision, because if you let me level here, I could potentially like level, DG, displace, and now I'm like way out of kill range, where you'll need like an additional 2 burn spells plus Burst Asunder. Okay, so Innervate resolves. I of course pick Spell Shroud, and that card should be in my memory, the one that I have in my hand there. I don't think I end up using it. That card should be in my memory now that I'm watching, because there was an Enfeebling Orb on the stack that whole time. But in any case, I take the level up back to Guoja, recollect and draw. It looked like it might have been a Veiling that I drew. So now I'm feeling a lot better. Once Burst Asunder is off the table, if I can Veiling during my opponent's turn and just survive the opponent's turn, I'm feeling a lot better. So we're going to use the Fairy Whispers here. Ooh, and I'm going to be drawing that Incapacitate at the end step. So yeah, lots of better vibes here. I feel a lot safer. So I'm going to take the Displace. It's the only wind card. Lay the laid Unmake Duality that's no longer castable. We're going to let that go with the Seiryuu effect. And then I have 2 defensive spells to rock with on his turn. I'm gonna just double check. Oh no, that was a Byaku's, not a Veiling. Okay, so I only have the Incap that's coming off the top of my deck. In this case, I might decide to draw 2. Yeah, we take the draw 2. I could have also tried to like Dungeon Guide Displace here. I think Dungeon Guide Displace would have also maybe kept me at a good range. But we draw the Incap we know about, and that looked like a second Incap. Second Incap doesn't do a whole lot. It was. Doesn't do a whole lot. We're going to lay 2 for the baby green, draw 1 more card. Keeping in mind that, like, okay, well, the current sculpture of my hand, I only have 1 point of interaction anyways. Might as well dig deeper and see if I can find something else. drew into a Harness Lightning, and then the banish of the extra Incap into a Fairy Whispers. So essentially here we have Incap as an option or Fairy Whispers to try to dig for like a Veiling or something like that. Fracting Missile goes for the Scepter of Fascination. Draws that card. Put it on 5 cards, going up to 6. 5 Fractals in play. Really strong position. Theoretically could just play a Burn spell and play 2 Burst Asunders. Alright, Zhang Zhao back at the baby green. Again, can't hit face. Oh no, actually just Burst Asunder is lethal here. I'm at 7, not 6 like previously. And now I'm super dead. This is 6 Fractals now. Burst Asunder dealing 14. And my opponent decides to go for it. I'm like, okay, well, here's my 1 point of interaction. You got anything else? That resolves. And second Burst Asunder is good enough. All right, so going into game 2, you can see I sided quite a bit here. I brought in the Topsy Decrees, Calming Breezes, Verdigris Decrees, and Innervate Agility. The cards I bring out are a lot of my advanced element cards. I took out Seiryuu's Command, I took out Regal, I took out a Harness Lightning. I figure Regal you don't really need against Fractals. It's if you're Regaling them, you're probably already winning. And similarly, if you're Seiryuu's Commanding them, you're probably already winning because you got to level 3 without dying. So a lot of my like late game only cards came out, and I wanted to make sure I had more interaction in the early game. Calming Breeze is incredibly good against Burst Asunder. Topsy Decree is good against like everything that they do. And then the Innervate and the Innervate was just a kind of better option than some of the other choices that I have. Gentle Respite coming in. Because I unmaked turn 1, I have more influence than my opponent after they play the Gentle Respite. Bit of a downside. I'm also staring at that Turbocharge in hand. I think I drew into it from the unmake, which is like the best feeling in the world. And where you want to be, like without Dissonant Fractal in their arsenal, it does feel like Fractals are maybe a little like their speed is such that you can take your time against them. When Dissonant was legal and they could have like 4 Fractal turn 1s, that was not okay. You could not take your time at all. But here I'm gonna banish Thurible to get rid of the Gentle. Seems like a good spot to do so. I do have the Turbocharge in hand, but I'm electing to take the float away, try to slow my opponent down. You know, mutual slowness seems to benefit me, and I have some of my side deck cards in my hand already too. With the Verdigris Decrees, I'm really looking to make it so my opponent does not have 3 Fractals if I can help it. Because then they can't Zhang Zhao. That's one of the main benefits of blowing up a Fractal against the Fractal decks. Granted, in you know, current format, they're not on as many Fractals as they historically could have been. So just the act of destroying a Fractal is pretty good. But you're not really keeping them off of Fractals. But if you can slow their Zhang Zhao by keeping them off of 3 Fractals, that seems pretty worthwhile. Staring at an Innervate here and just some value pieces. I'm thinking about using the Fairy Whispers to ship most of this to the bottom. Maybe keep the Innervate. Yeah, draw the Fairy Whispers. And I don't think I'll cast it immediately. This is more likely just a get some value. Hold up some interaction here, if possible. Holding up the Incap seems pretty good. I did not hold up an imbuing of a Verdigris Decree, which I guess I also imbued the Windmill Engineer, so it might have been a little difficult to do that, but in hindsight, I should have tried a little harder to see if I could have imbued both. With all this defense, I'm pretty comfy to go backup Charger. My opponent goes another Gentle Respite in their main phase after materializing the Wind Bubble. like someone was asking me a question about Nico. I think I remember it. I think it was if your opponent banishes the float with something like a Thurible, you still get the lash counter. Unimbued Fractal Rain, Fractal Rain. So we're at 3 fractals now. I'm thinking about how I can make the Vertigus Decree do some work here. Go backup charger. If I can find, because like the best creature to suppress in my deck is Baby Green. So if I could get like Forest Cake Baby Green here, that would be good. I should be casting this Vertigus Decree. My opponent's hands down. They don't have a way to respond. I should be casting this Vertigus Decree. I should have even cast it prereq just for 1 mode to destroy one of these fractals. Keeping my opponent off of Zhang Zhao is pretty important here. Turbocharge, good as time as any to play it. Looks like I drew into a Topsy Decree. Oh yeah, I remember my line of thought here. I don't know. This is an interesting line actually. Something I'll talk about a little bit here. So I was on 2 norm cards in hand, the Incap and the Dungeon Guide, and I'm like, a Topsy would go really hard here. I could get him to discard a card and get rid of that float. And so I scout the land looking for a norm card. I end up finding it, Forest Cake being the best one, honestly. And I use that to imbue the Topsy Decree in main phase here to deny the float and to make him discard a card. I know there's no way I'm dying if I do that, or it's quite unlikely I'm dying if I do that. But it does take away the... Well, I could even have played the Vertigus Decree here too. I think I was just so fixated on getting imbue value on the Vertigus Decree that I didn't want to just fling it to destroy a fractal, and everything I'm looking at here is like, it seems really good to do that right now. Yeah, we did just a little discussion there on what do you want to discard since it's going to get banished. Like, don't discard a Refracting Missile probably. Yeah, so again, just looking at this again in hindsight, I really could have just used the Vertigus Decree, even to give the Windmill +2, just to cash it in for like 2 damage and destroy this fractal. I'm not sure if I get punished here. I'm not sure if he goes Zhang Zhao. Goes Enfeebling Arm, which is like really scary. I don't know what else maybe was coming here. Maybe the Zhang? It's got to be the Zhang, right? You would backup charger and use your fractals if you weren't already holding a Zhang. And do I get punished? No, just another Gentle Respite. Okay, so this is going to happen. It's that I have no more way to stop this float. He plays the Gentle Respite, so I don't get punished for not destroying a fractal. Taps 3 for the refreshment. We are now reaching scary fractal range. 5 fractals. Burst Asunder is for 12. And I had reclaimed last turn with the intention to level up here, get to a better life total. And then Fairy Whisperer is going to definitely be looking for just like defense here, largely. I don't need another Windmill Engineer, so we'll keep the Baby Green just because that's drawable, and then we'll draw the Dungeon Guide. And actually, this might be a situation where I want to just DG up. I have so much influence. I have double Byakos in hand. No, that's an Innervate. But I have so much influence that I can just start to, I think, turbo up here. Let's see what I end up doing. Forest Cake draw. Looking at my hand, I don't have a ton of defense. I have an Incap, which is pretty good. We'll be able to draw plenty here. Probably just thinking I'm going to hold up some defense here. And I can imbue the Vertigus if I want to right now. In that case, I'd be able to suppress the Baby Green. That's probably what I'm thinking about. Is it worth it to imbue the Vertigus, kill a Fractal, press the Baby Green? It'll come back and it'll suppress the Cake at the end step. I have no defense any. Oh, I have an in-cap. Like, I don't know. In-cap makes me feel pretty safe, but that's a lot of fractals my opponent has. I elect not to do that. And I just draw a card. And draw a card. Probably not wise to lay the Byakos in hindsight either. I'm going to need to find a kill at some point. And my hand is not pointing to any kind of kill. I can level to 3 pretty easily, but I can't really kill. The Gentle brings about Diao-Chan. And I'm holding on Recollection. Opponent with no cards in hand. Now is the time to fling the Verdigris? Probably. I mean, that's all I can really be thinking about doing here, right? Unless I'm dropping another baby green. Counting my hand. Looks like I can still in-cap if I Verdigris, thanks to the draw 2 from last turn. So now it's like almost definitely right to do. So Verdigris. I picked the Fractal Refreshment. I probably should have picked the Unstable Fractal. I don't think it affects me that much. But it's the only one with like an effect. Besides... No, yeah, it's the only one with an effect. Those are unimbued Fractal of Rains. So I just picked the highest cost one. But in hindsight, picking the Unstable is probably right. Though it does also give him the opportunity to activate the Unstable to destroy my Forest Cake. I think Unstable can destroy Forest Cake. So then, thinking that logic, I perhaps should have done it while the Diao-Chan materialization was on the stack, so the Cleric class bonus was off. Anywho, we've got Portentous Tengu coming in. 1, 2, 3. Draw off of that. I'm feeling pretty good here. I'm feeling like, you know, essentially kind of can't lose. Might even be able to go for lethal here. Before Recollect going for the Refracting. Now it's only for 4. Way less scary than when it would have been for 5. And then he's electing to lay some cards to do it, so I feel like another bullet has to be coming, probably. Recollect and draw. That looked like a Calming Breeze, so once I hit that, I'm like, okay, I'm never dying here. I have Calming Breeze with in-cap backup. And Innervate Agility is live now because I took the 5 from the Refracting Missile. Yeah, it was for 5. I said 4. It's actually for 5. Is this Asen? No, this is DG. All right, I'm just getting up in levels now. Feebling Orb cracked just to make it a little harder on my Dungeon Guide. Looking at my hand, I don't think I have lethal. I think I'm just trying to pad my health total. Get some more cards. Get a little more pressure on board. Went up. Probably draw a card here, I would think. I don't think I'm trying to rush to level 3 here. Yeah. Take that draw. Oh, it's a Veiling Breeze. That's so good. Smack ya. And now it's just going through the motions. At this point against the Fractal's opponent, I don't think there's really a loss that can happen. Counting my hand, what am I at? I'm at 9. Verdigris goes to 5. So I go back up to 7. So that's in-cap and Veiling Breeze. That's definitely what I was thinking about here. So I'm like, all right, screw it. Verdigris. Refracting on top of the Verdigris just to get value out of that Fractal still being alive. So that's for another 5. I go to 10. And a Shimmering for 4. So I go to 14. And I'm moving pretty quickly through this because I'm like, okay, no amount of this damage is terribly concerning to me. And I decide, ooh, wait, I blink Dungeon Guide. Ah, that's pretty heads up. So now I'm just going to pad my life total even more. I could even take the Recover 3 on the Guoja level 3. I don't think I do. But like if I was actually really scared, I could take the Recover 3. So that's the Seiryuu trigger. The Dungeon Guide trigger. I'm going to banish 2 more. I go to 7. So actually, yeah, and going to 7, it's kind of the perfect number to take the 3 quest counters when I go to level 3. I'm like so sure that's what I do. Yeah. And I'm sitting on, what is it? It's 7 in hand, right? So 7 in hand is in-cap and Veiling Breeze. And my health total's 25. Feeling pretty comfy here. Burst is only doing 8. So it is Burn Spell and Burst through 2 points of interaction on me. I'm pretty much assured that I'm not dying here. Fractals can always make it happen. Like, I don't think it's nigh impossible, but... And, like, the Veiling's not as good versus some of the bigger burn spells once they get a bunch of Fantasia out. But, yeah, I'm pretty comfy here. I'm, like, you know, moving quickly. Just kind of waiting for the next game to get going. Okay, Fractal Insight back to 4 Fractals. Burst is now 10 damage. Not a whole lot. Not a whole lot of scariness. Also noticing he laid cards, so I'm thinking this is probably something like a Shimmering coming from memory, given that he laid cards instead of tapping Fractals. And what am I looking at here? I'm at 7 influence. I go Candlelight Hourglass. Response to Candlelight Hourglass is the Outchan ability. For what is almost assuredly a Shimmering. Y'all. I elect to incap this Shimmering. And I believe that is just because I couldn't imbue the Topsy, but now that I look at it, I could. Imbue Topsy seems pretty good here. You gain Spell Shroud and you make him discard a card. But instead I just play the incap. I think my logic here is it's my prereq, so spending 4 for an incap is better to do prereq than spending 3 for a Topsy Decree. Since I'll be picking them back up. A Refracting does come on top of that, so I was probably dead if I didn't negate that. Pay for the Candlelight. Candlelight comes in, draw a card. Rec draw. I'm feeling pretty good about this. Thinking about the landscape and sculpture of my opponent's hand. I think I was just playing around Glimmering here. I figured they had a 2-card answer. Glimmering makes the most sense. Look, we can see it here. It's Song of Frost. It's double Song of Frost that he has. But I think I was planning on playing around Glimmering and seeing if I could do anything about that. So what do I have? I have 2 in play. That's 7. I could make Seiryuu, that's 11, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I have 9 in hand, so I can't play around a Glimmering by just shipping an Arcane Blast. But I can just start swinging with Seiryuu, right? Water Fractals doesn't really have a way to remove Seiryuu, as far as I know. So there's no reason not to flip him once he's live. And 4 damage a turn gets there eventually. 19's a little scary for me, but I mean, just look at my hand. I have so many answers to pretty much anything. That said, with 4 Fractals in play, my opponent does have just regular burn spell route to kill me, so my Calming Breeze might be a little less valuable. I'm doing math. Me when I do math. And I just give +4 to my Seiryuu. Honestly, a play I like here is giving another one of my allies +4. Give it to, like, Baby Green or DG. And then I took that back. I recall what happened here. I thought I already had made an Arcane Blast. So I was like, oh yeah, I can just empower when I swing. I thought I had already made an Arcane Blast, but I had not. So this is the Song of Frost that we saw on the Seiryuu on attack trigger, so I don't get to empower or generate an Arcane Blast. I just get in for 2 with the Dorks. And we pass it over to him. Again, just super duper confident that I'm not dead here. I don't even know. It would have to be like Zhang Jiao into triple castable burn spell somehow, I think. I think that's the only way I lose here. And even then, I don't think I lose to that because I have Topsy Decree. Draws into memory. If I wanted to be extra safe here, I could Topsy on prereq, make him discard a card, and give myself Spell Shroud. But I'm like, I can just do it in response to what he's doing. And he just draws and passes. Oopsies. So, making Reliquary just because why not? Obviously, that's not triggering. I think it's just a matter of trying to go to victory here. Baby Green prereq, probably. Honestly, I like Baby Green eating the cake here. One thing I didn't do this locals at all that I thought about later, Baby Green can eat the cakes and would actually be a bigger threat. And since I have the hourglass, I don't need to flicker the cake anymore. Okay, another Song of Frost on my Seiryuu. It's like, come on, man. Do I have Byakko's? No, I banished Byakko's earlier. Kind of foolish laying it. So we just draw cards. I don't feel like this was a slow roll per se. Like, I don't think I could have won any faster or too much faster in trying to prepare this. I think it's better to play safe. But here's where it gets a little scary. Zhang does come down. I have no Stifling Trap for it. But, you know, in tapping 3 fractals, I'm not super scared of potentially dying. I am at 19, though. I think I forgot I was at 19 at this point. Oh, no, I certainly didn't. That Zhang, I'm thinking about that Zhang Zhao 1 damage, and if I want to do anything about it. I do end up taking it. Goes for it. Guess he figures he's dead here. Goes for the Burst Asunder. I have many ways to try to stop this. I think Calming Breeze is probably the one to try first. I am instead going with Topsy Decree. I think any is valid, right? So Topsy, Spell Shroud, discard a card, get some extra value. He does so. That's huge. Says pass. Now having discarded a card, he discarded from hand and not memory. So now Song of Frost is off. It's just 2 in hand and no no fractals live. So probably just a pretty easy lethal here. 13. Seiryuu's 4 is 17. And yeah, the Harness Lightning already is enough to just be big enough. And that's game 2. All right, cleaning up a little bit. And game 3. No sideboard changes, game 2 into game 3. I kept it the same. I'm on the draw instead of the play, but I don't think any of my cards are particularly, like, better one way or the other. I am thinking of putting a 3rd in cap in the board, and I would definitely board in and out of that 3rd in cap based on play draw. More often, I think in cap turn 1 versus unmake decks is super good right now. Fractal Refreshment, shipping the Frostborn. I think Frostborn's actually pretty good against me. It is hard for me to destroy it without one of my 2 ASIM protectors. But that said, you know, it's if you got no float or you don't really see a line where you're going to be playing it, I don't hate the ship of the Frostborn. Going with the Forest Cake, we got Baby Green in hand, we got Byakko's in hand, DG, I mean, it's everything you want in a hand. Baby Green, gonna flicker the Forest Cake. We have a Displace on the Baby Green if we need to. If by chance like a Zhang Zhao comes down or something. Backup Charger. 1 Fractal Start feels really good for us. And looking at my hand, I didn't find Verdigris. Well, I might have it in my memory right now. I didn't take a deep look at my hand right now on the camera. But I have just everything you would want. I got some defensive cards. It's nice when you start with defensive cards with this deck because you then can, you know, make your greedy plays without having to, like, hope to dig to find answers. You just have to back your answers up. Fairy Whispers. I'll still have 3 in hand. Go on top, send that other one to the bottom. It's a Windmill. And probably just backup charger myself here. What am I looking for? Oh, I'm looking for like a better power cell. I used the metal token as a power cell last turn. I'll just use the face down backup charger. Baby Green comes in for 1. Turbocharge off the rip. Pretty nice. And again, I based on my hand, I actually think I'm, again, not leveling next turn, so I'm not too scared of what I lay. Oh my god, I ripped the unmake off of the turbocharge. I'm not even doing... Oh, I already had one. Even better. Unmake. So we are just super insulated here. Opponent only on 2 fractals. Almost certain that I don't die. And I have Veiling here. I have a DG to 1 as an option here as I'm looking at my hand. It's probably not the time to do it, but next turn, because that Force Cake's going to come back, so I'll have 4 in hand. I'm not sure. Oh, my opponent's refracting me before I draw a card here. Probably so that I can't Topsy, because I'm only on 3 in hand. Wait, no, he took it back. He wanted to banish that Song of Frost instead of using the float. Wants to get more fractals out before the refracting comes out. And I think that's fair. Another baby green in my hand. So, I mean, I have the option to try to level up here. I have a Displace in hand. I think it's probably draw another card. Yeah. Thurible. Draw another card. And then DG to 1 and have Displace up as an option. Coming in. Getting some damage in here, too. It's really nice when you have a couple of the 1-power creatures. And then I think we have a couple useless cards here. We don't need more value creatures. And DG comes down. Kind of getting a peek at my opponent's hand. They do not have 3 fractals for the Zhang Jiao, which is really good for me. And, yeah. I honestly, I don't even hate displacing the DG here at some point and just drawing another card with level 2. This was Fracturize my Power Cell and then Refracting Missile you for 4. Just kind of shortcutted that a little bit on my opponent's side. Float for Scepter. Quite aggressive of a start here for my opponent. The Fracturize on the Power Cell was really good because I did see that he has a Zhang in hand. And that is... I have no Verdigris, right? Yeah. So if I had a Verdigris, it was absolutely pop one of these fractals so the Zhang can't draw 2. And yeah, another Refracting Missile. A lot of burn spells coming down from my opponent. The Recollect draw into the Zhang Jiao. Really strong for my opponent here. Like, I have the defense to not die, but I have to be a little careful. Burst Asunder's doing 8 damage right now. So 16, potential 17 with this Zhang Jiao swing. It might have been coming at Baby Green. No, it's coming at me. And I think there's a fractal. So now Burst is for 10. Burst would be lethal here. Of course, I have plenty of responses. But Burst would be lethal here. And down comes Frostsworn. Frostsworn will draw a card. And now, I think I make a move here. He's hands down. And so, Diao-Chan ability can only activate on your opponent's turn. Like, the opponent of Diao-Chan, so my turn in this matchup. So I think now's a perfect time to displace DG. Yeah, it looks like what I'm doing. Displace DG, go to level 2. And then probably either do it again or... I mean, if I'm getting rid of 2 DGs, I didn't quite catch my whole hand again, but... When I went 2 quest counters, yeah, I'm just going for the kill here. I have double Byakos in hand, I guess that makes sense. 1 card in opponent's hand, so... All I have to play around is Diao-Chan ability, but they do have Scepter as well, so I do have to play around double Diao-Chan ability. So this is still on opponent's end step in order to... Still on opponent's end step in order to play around Diao-Chan ability. That said, maybe I should have done it in my rec as a bait, almost. See if the Glimmering would come down on my rec and then just pay for it. And then recollect and draw. Because the timing's basically the same. The only exception, I guess, is here, Reliquary is going to trigger. Me doing that double displace actually put me a lower influence than my opponent. Direct draw. And this is 1/1/1 into the opponent. And again, I'm thinking about double glimmering here. I could play around 1 glimmering. I only have to do 10. So swing plus Byakko's is 10 damage. And with 4 fractals in play, I can pay for the glimmering, but I can't pay for double glimmering. And I could just die on the crackback if I don't play it careful enough here. So I'm gonna do a big think here. That's definitely, I remember this line pretty clearly. I was like, single Byakko's kills, but if you double glimmering, I can't. Like if I go for Byakko's, you glimmering, I pay for it. You crack Scepter, you go for glimmering again, I'm dead. And so what I did here was I played it safer. I just killed the Frostworn. Figured it was less likely I'd die. I'm still holding Veiling plus Incap. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I can play both. So I have Veiling plus Incap. And I just decided to try to survive this turn. That was the first Diao-Chan ability activation for the Shimmering. So now I'm feeling super fine. Like, I Incapped it to prevent the card draw, which I think is worthwhile. I think Shimmering, if you can negate it or give yourself Spell Shroud to prevent the card draw, is one of the best things to hit in the matchup. And so we've got just 1 more turn cycle here, probably. Enfeebling Orb's a pretty good choice. You know, I have 2 in hand. If it's Veiling, make me do it now. I do. He had 1 in hand. I thought that might have been the glimmering as well. I'm wondering if, because in response to Recollect, I was absolutely Veiling as well, even if he didn't pop the Enfeebling Orb, because I don't want to get my my Veiling glimmeringed, and if it's the 1 card in his hand, it's the 1 card in his hand, right? You know, sometimes that just happens. He's drawn to 1,000,000. Little scary, honestly. We saw he had Song of Frost in the last match. So he plays out a couple more fractals. Probably wants to get that Burst Asunder into lethal range, hoping that I can't kill on my next turn. Because he needs, what, 7? If it's straight Burst Asunder, he needs 7 fractals. If it's Burst Asunder plus Burn Spell, 5 would be 6. 4 would be 5, 10. He could do it with 4 fractals and 2 burn spells. So this should signal to me that he probably doesn't have 2 burn spells. He played out 2 more fractals. Didn't really cost him a lot of options, so it's probably fine. And then he just cracks the Scepter to put the counters on himself while I'm hands down. Which, I don't think that also ultimately mattered terribly much, but whatever, you know. Shortcut a little bit. Going into Tengu, just because it's something. Reliquary Trigger is going to be met with a Shimmering from memory. So he did have Shimmering and Burst Asunder. So there was a possibility I could have been dead here. Without the Veiling, of course. So now I'm pretty sure I'm dead to anything. What is on 6 fractals in play? 5 or 6 fractals in play? Pretty sure I'm dead to anything. And he's on, what, 3 in hand? He's on 4 in hand. And so I'm like, all right, now with all these fractals in play, Glimmering gets a lot better. But he doesn't have Diao-Chan ability. So I have to play through 1 point of interaction. And with double Byakko's in hand, 1 point of interaction is trivial to play around. So I'm going to swing, and I'm going to get my Empower. I don't need another Blast, right? So swing, get my Empower. All I need is 1 Byakko's to resolve. So as long as I can play through that 1 point of interaction, I can't think of any combination of cards that really messes me up here. The only thing that would probably mess me up is if I swung with Seiryuu and tried to Byakko's to get 5 damage instead of 4 damage with the buff counter, and that was met with a Song of Frost, such that I didn't untap my Seiryuu and lost my Byakko's. Like if he could cancel 2 game actions with 1 card, That was probably how I lost here. And so I just let the 4 come through. Byaku's. I expected a Glimmering here, where I would just snap it off. I guess he could have double Glimmering. Now that I'm looking at this, he could have had double Glimmering. But it was acquiescing instead. And once it was acquiescing, I was like, alright, that's fine. Banish that. And I got another one. But yeah, so clearly he didn't have double Glimmering, but if he did have double Glimmering in that game 3, I was dead. Whew, that was a close one. It came down to the wire every time. I really, really like playing against Fractals, honestly, because most of the game is just following what your opponent can do, counting their damage threshold, and playing around it. If you take too much time, they'll just become so big that you can't beat them. If you rush, you end up exposing yourself to lethal. So it's about juggling when you can push and when you can build an accrue resource or start to level, versus when you have to sit back and turtle up just because they have so much damage potential on the board. Let's get into the next one. All right, so now we've got match number 2. This is myself again versus Serene Water Nico. We got Looking Glass. Mirrors again. This is the format, eh? I do believe my opponent's going first, and I do believe they don't bottom any, which I didn't notice they were Serene because of that. So we've got a Fractal Rain being imbued here, Bullfrog, and Cerulean. I think this matchup, I mean, Nico is pretty good, but Nico's pretty slow, and so I think in this matchup, and you'll see it in this, I have a lot of ability to just accrue advantage. All right, shoutouts to the new rules. I'm able to in-cap the Unmake Duality. Just absolutely backbreaking, I think, when you do that. You don't get a turn 1 yourself either, but you stop their +1, and you blank all their other Unmake Dualities in their deck. It's just so good. Okay. But I do just have to pass. It works out well, though. I have 3 cards in hand, right? So I'm just lined up to be able to backup Charger. And down to 4 cards is my opponent with the Serene and the Fractal and the Unmake getting countered. So it likes to go Temptation's Facade just to cycle through some stuff. Loses the Cerulean, unfortunately. Fractal Rain Trigger mills the Ravishing Finale, as it always does. Wreck Draw, trying to get back to some influence here. I'm almost certainly thinking about going backup Charger here. I didn't really scan my hand. I can talk about my hand in a second. Looks like another Fractal Rain is coming down. Keeping in mind that Acquiescing Rejection is on the table in a future turn. And just a pass beyond that. Backup Charger, no doubt. Get a Power Cell. Draw Forest Cake. Let's see what we got going on in this grip. Not a ton. Looks like Dream Fairy might be our only ally right now. So we're just going to draw a million. Turbocharge. Looking good. Yeah, it looks like we don't have another ally right now. So I almost certainly want to find a way to get to a Baby Green. So I'm thinking Forest Cake. And there's the Baby Green right on time. Not much to do with the Baby Green. Wait, hold on. If I Baby Green, I'm on 5. I'll go to 2, and then I'll go to 3. I will not be able to escape the Wreckage to Baby Green if I hit the Forest Cake, because I don't have the Azurite Fatestone in play. So, yeah. Backup Charger from the opponent. It likes to tap the Fractals instead of laying the card. I think we talk about this for a moment, that you could have had an untapped Fractal here. I don't think it makes a difference. I remember this game being particularly brutal on my Nico opponent for a couple reasons. These mills being one of them. You see, oh, that was Ravishing and then Cerulean on the mill. So, yeah, this game was not kind to my Nico opponent. Seeing that my opponent's not doing a whole lot, I think it might actually kind of be time to start to party here. Time to level up here. I think a Thurible is kind of your textbook play here, and probably what I end up going with. But I totally think I could have started to level here and really started to, like, press the gas and put the pressure on, because my opponent is doing a whole lot of nada. And the acquiescing rejection that I saw is off the table. The Cerulean got banished, I believe. And so instead, I just elect to Thurible. I think this is also reasonable. We saw a windmill in the we saw an Asen in the Fairy Whispers, so that can just be the play for this turn. Also got DG in hand. Honestly, DG Asen is kind of a hot play here. I kind of like DG Asen. I don't think that's what I end up going with, but thinking about it and having played the deck a little more since recording this, instead of going Baby Green Asen, I think I totally could have went DG Asen. My opponent's on so low influence that I can start to bully a little bit. And is this just straight Asen? I'm just not going to kill the Bullfrog. Oh, I'm going to Dream Fairy the Bullfrog. All right, we're bullying out here. And then Asen is also a potential play, but I elect not to. Hold up Escape the Wreckage for Baby Green. Probably don't even care if the Dream Fairy gets Escape the Wreckage. And then I know I'm also eyeing this Ensnaring Fumes that I have in my influence, because it can get a lot of value based on the landscape of my hand. Nico level 1 comes out. Again, no float to be found. Bullfrog's gone. Nico level 2. You can look at 2 cards that you will never get to have in this game. One has to go on the bottom, and one has to go in your graveyard. I know for sure you can't hear it because the audio's gone, but we're definitely joking about how you just can't have what you want with Nico. Finally, mills a float. We hit an Acquiescing and a Refracting Missile. You know, equivalent exchange. For each float you expect to mill, you should expect to mill 2 non-floats. And I don't think there's much to be done here on my opponent's side. They could make a Sablemare here. I actually don't think at any point does my opponent here make Sablemare with its alternate activation cost. I do have 3 engrave. And I mean, it's got to be level up time now, right? Am I that greedy? I could totally see myself taking another turn off. Oh, wait. Sorry. It's still my opponent's turn. 3 down. Frostwarn. Gonna use that float. Draws that card. Hard to see. He's holding his hand a little close. Can't quite tell what's in it. Did he draw a card? I don't know. 3 goes to me, not trying to mess with the Baby Green when I have so many in hand. I'm having a big think here. I think it's whether or not I want to level up, and I mean, it's gotta be level up time, I think. I'm super safe, but also, like, I have to win the game at some point, right? It goes Censor. Okay. So I'm almost certainly DGing to 1 here then. If I'm going Censor here, I'm just like, I have so much influence, I'm just going to DG to 1. I think that has to be the case. Escape on Baby Green, even more value. And then I know I have Asen in hand. I don't know how many are in my opponent's hand, but I can pretty much deal with anything he tries to do, so this has got to be killing the Frostwarn with the Asen. I could have even probably Baby Green to draw another card here, but bouncing the Dream Fairy now that the Bullfrog was banished is also, I think, just as good. Punch. Baby Green, of course. If I was going to Baby Green anyways, and this might be moot because of potential cards in my opponent's hand. If I was going to Baby Green anyways, I should have played it first, so that if Refracting Missile came down on the Dream Fairy when I went to play Asen, that Asen would not have ended up bouncing himself. I'm not a tamer, so I don't have fast activation on Baby Green. So, mental note there. If I'm going to play Baby Green anyways, I should have played it first. I know I started playing pretty loose in this game, or in this match, because I was just on so many cards in hand, and it did not feel particularly losable. We were talking about that after the fact. It just ended up that the in cap on the unmake into draw a bunch of just like fractals and taunt creatures and stuff did not bode well for my opponent. Opponent goes Vapor Jet Shield. That's another card we talked about a little bit. Vapor Jet Shield is very good, by the way. It does a lot of work, and I know my opponent had played against a Tristan in the round prior, and it prevented like 100 damage over the course of the game, just because it was like a weenies Tristan deck. And so he's like, I'm feeling in danger. I probably have to Vapor Jet Shield here, but it cost him 2 because of my Censor. There's no Fracturize for the Censor, no nothing, and it's pretty brutal. I don't think it was particularly timely to go into the Vapor Jet Shield here, but again, like I said, we talked about it a little bit during the game and after the game, and yeah, I don't know. This was just kind of a, I'm not gonna say bad beat, but this was a rough game for Nico here. Played some of my stuff pre-rec. Really, I'm just looking for like Seiryuu's command, looking for Displace is a good one, right? Because I have a DG in hand. And I think it's kind of go time here. Even if I don't... Oh, excuse me. Two with the Asen. It's because, like, even if I don't kill with Seiryuu here, even though it looks like I might actually be able to, even if I don't, how's it dying, right? Like, I don't think Seiryuu's dying. I don't know if I have the cards, but I don't know if I have the influence to do it, but I have DG, Displace DG, Harness Byakos, which is like so much damage. I don't think I have enough. What's that? That would be 4, 7, 9, 11, 14. I might actually have 14 influence here. I might have been able to do that. Granted, my opponent's on a full hand. I didn't want to... A full hand of 3, but... that is a full hand nonetheless. So one Frostbind or whatever kind of ruins that, or there is Acquiescing there as well that we know about. But I'm gonna take it slow here. Asen up the baby. And just use the Asens to kind of soften it up. But I think definitely looking at this again, I mean, even Harness plus Byakos is 9 reduced to 8 twice. That's 16. Plus a pretty fat Empower. Because there's... yeah, I don't know. Yeah, we'll see here. He hard materializes Sablemare a couple times. Not using the alternate activation. In some cases, I think that makes sense. In other cases, I'm like, I think you could have probably just alt-activated it. And then Recollects, draws for turn. Recollects nothing and draws for turn. And I mean, just staring down an absolute monstrous amount of influence. I'm not worried at all here. I don't think there's anything in the game that kills me on 5 cards. Ravishing is off because of the Censor. And so this is just an activate Sablemare and go hands down. Get some lash counters and get an Icebound Slam and go hands down. And so now in my head, I'm like, do I just have lethal here? And I feel like I have to. So Baby Green comes down, Flicker the Cake. This is end of main, not end phase, because I want to draw that card now. Now we're in end phase. And I like the play that I do here. This one I remember. This is my kind of like highlight. Not highlight, but like I think this is kind of a cool play. Nothing revolutionary or anything, right? But reclaim the Baby Green and then play the Baby Green again to flicker the Censor. And because it's my opponent's end step, it'll come back on my end step. So I get a turn where I can use the reclaim as float to, of course, draw more cards. Candlelight Hourglass comes down. Draw for that. Recollect, draw. So I'm on a billion cards in hand. I feel like it just has to be lethal here. My opponent's completely hands down. What am I on? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So I can do that play that I talked about, I think. I think I'm on 13. I might be 1 card short. But 2 comes in. Yeah, I have to take the quest counters on level 2 if I decide to do this. What am I doing? This should just be DG Displace, I think, like, every day of the week. And yeah, I could maybe DG Displace with the Harness Lightnings in order to get rid of them, but instead I'm just dirtling more. Okay, we go Windmill Engineer. We return the sensor and say go. I wanted to leave the Asen standing as a hedge versus the Icebound Slam, but honestly, looking at this, like, even if I take 8 here from an Icebound Slam, I guess it would be a little bit more, because opponent could go Magebane Lash here. Magebane Icebound Slam would be Magebane Icebound Slam would be 11, and I'd be at 14. I mean, I'm still just not dead, and I have a grip of cards in my hand that can mess with that, right? I think I have a Reclaim. I might have shown it to the Windmill. I might have laid it. Yeah, it looks like I did. But I could Ensnaring Fumes and Baby Green the Magebane. No, I guess Temptation's Facade is there. Well, in any case, I just don't think there's a lose state in this game right now. So I am playing super sloppy. Conniving Plans comes from the opponent, just trying to build back some influence. It's a prep counter. I'm confused for a second. And, yeah. Enfeebling Orb is out from the opponent. Enfeebling Orb is such a strong card. I think, definitely a card to pay attention to. I mean, everyone's talking about it, right? It does a lot of work. It gets passed back to me. We know Acquiescing Rejection is in the opponent's arsenal right now. I'm gonna go Tengu, and then just full Windslop value, Ensnaring Fumes, pick up all 4 creatures. And activate the Tengu. Nope, Baby Green first. Then activate the Tengu. So I think at pretty much every turn cycle, I should have attempted to Baby Green the Vapor Jet Shield. Yes, well, no, actually. Yeah, scratch that. No, that's not a good play, right? Because Temptation's Facade can redirect the Baby Green's ability. And as such... Actually, I don't remember how Temptations reads, but I'm pretty sure it can redirect a Baby Green ability. And in doing so, would actually draw my opponent more cards. So I thought in the moment that I was kind of slow rolling this, in that I should just be displacing the Vapor Jet Shield with Baby Green over and over again to get my damage in. But in hindsight, again, you never lose playing this way. It's just a little lame, but like in hindsight, I think I did actually do this type of stuff right, where it's like I can just chill, not worry about dying, and not care about the Vapor Jet Shield being there. Just only swing with Asens and bigger creatures. All right, it is in fact go time. The magic number that I like to start to go for it, and kind of like with like kind of in quotes no consequence, is when I have 3 quest counters, because it lets me take a draw on the level 2. I'm holding all these Harness Lightnings. I think my plan is to just use the Harness Lightnings to make Seiryuu super duper big. DG reactivates. Opponent's still holding that Enfeebling Orb. I mean, I just have so many cards in hand that it's not going to stop anything I'm doing, but it might make what I'm trying to do awkward. I think I still have 11 in hand at this point. I go and grab my Seiryuu. In the other pile. And then opponent's at 6. And so what do we got here? Harness Lightning. So Seiryuu's an 8. No Arcane Blast generated, so it's just going to be straight. What would this make him? Plus 4, 8, 12. He'd be a 16 and he'd be hitting for 15. Harness Lightning, Harness Lightning, Harness Lightning. They all go through. He is a big old 16. I'm attempting to swing for 15. We do see a Song of Frost. I do have an in cap. And I only have 1 card left in hand, so actually the Enfeebling Orb crack, and this is what we talk about for a second here. That's why I froze. I was like, oh shoot, you had an Enfeebling Orb. Or he said it first, and I was like, oh no. But such is life. He said, yeah, I didn't activate it. I wasn't winning that game anyways. Let's just get on to game 2. So I'm just bringing in Topsy Decree to mess with the graveyard and taking out stuff like Stifling Trap and Regal. My logic is Stifling Trap doesn't hit any terribly relevant creatures in the deck. And then Regal for Nico, yes, you can hit the Ravishing Finale. Yes, you can hit like the Icebound Slam that gets generated. But Nico can just kill you by getting a bunch of Lash counters and turning sideways. Nico doesn't need cards, or rather specific cards, to kill you. So the Ensnaring Fumes and the Innervate Agility coming in were just, hey, these are better than Regal in the matchup. At least I thought. Ensnaring Fumes did a lot of work. I have time to build up influence, so Ensnaring Fumes just builds more influence. Turn 1 pass for my opponent. This was a full ship 6. So it was a ship 0 into ship 6 on the Serene Spirit Glimpse. Pretty sweet. Backup Charger. So it was a pass. Probably going to be a pass, backup charger. I'm pretty sure that's what we're going to see here. Draws into memory, wreck draw. And, I mean, just in general, the way that a lot of these Nico decks are built, if they're not terribly ally focused, which I know this version, we talked about it, is not, I just have all the time in the world to set up. And when this deck gets time to set up, it's just so strong. Backup Charger on deck. Trying to take a look at my hand here. Double in cap. We got the turbocharge as well. We're just the best. Maybe even turbocharge into a unmake, perhaps. Turbocharge, draw 2. Not much else going on. I have a Baby Green and a Reclaim. I thought this one was weird. This was the Cerulean. And then I'm like, okay, if you're Ceruleaning me when I'm on 6 in hand, you're not, and you show 2 Tidal Locks here, you're not trying to like double or triple counterspell this thing down. So I have 2 options. I can lay 2 and just let the Cerulean resolve. And I say, no, let's go for the blowout play. And I go to in-cap the Cerulean. With 4 in my opponent's hand, if they had held one of the Tidal Locks, I could have got punished for that. But that's just not how it played out. That said, if I went for the in-cap and then that met a counterspell, and then my turbocharge got negated, I was in such a bad spot. So in tournament, I'm never making that play. But this is locals, so I said, hey, let's do the blow. I said out loud, let's do the blowout play, and that's where we got to. Still not seeing much in my hand though. Drawing double reclaim Byakos, so really got to get something going here. No Forest Cake. Candlelight Hourglass seems like a reasonable materialize. My opponent doing something similar, materializing the Temptations Facade. Losing a Tidal Lock. So 1 Tidal Lock still remains. In general, these counterspells aren't very good, but if you can amass a couple of them and also use like Enfeebling Orb, you can counter the kill turn in the Seiryuu deck. That it doesn't get so much influence that it's like impossible to like actually use the soft counters on it. Reckoning's Wake here. You know, in my head, I'm like, okay, well, I guess I'm thoroughbling now. I have 3 in hand. So unless my opponent can get 2 more cards in grave, I'm definitely looking to eat that Reckoning's Wake. This is prereq, so not impossible, right? Okay. And yeah, still not much going on my opponent's side. I'm thinking Thurible, and as I'm looking at this hand now, I'm thinking, okay, Baby Green really needs to start going. Thurible is, of course, the pick. Hopefully I can hit a Forest Cake soon. I think it's going to be an Hourglass Materialize next turn if I can't. We recollect and draw. Ensnaring Fumes is the draw. And yeah, still just no action on like Forest Cake or anything like that. With all these reclaims though, it really feels like it's time to just get a unit down. Power Cell's the only good target. That does get rid of it. So hey, if my opponent's on Turbocharge, I do at least block that now. And with the plan to reclaim the baby. Falling Cleanse comes through. Can I imbue a Topsy here? I cannot. So we just let that Spalling go. If I could have imbued a Topsy there, I 100% was flinging it. All right, level up at an Eco 1, get another float into the yard. Pretty good. Direct draw. I'm on 2 cards in my graveyard. Okay, that doesn't come back. I'm on 2 cards in my graveyard. Sable Mare not online, but again, we did not see that alternate activation done in these matches. Maybe another look at my hand. I mean, I have so many ways to reuse allies, but all I have is the Dream Fairy and the Baby Green. I think another line I could have taken here is banish one of my 2 memory that I laid. Lay cards that I don't need, and then use that to level into Guoja, and then reclaim and go from there. This is probably Hourglass. Yeah, Hourglass is such a good option here. And now I draw a Windmill, so now I have more ways to generate the value. Baby Green returns. Already no flicker in the Hourglass. A Fracturize here on the Hourglass would have done well. I mean, you can't do that. It doesn't feel good. Especially given all my influence, but looking at my hand from this side, I had no real answer to a Fracturized Hourglass. And so I swung in with the Baby Green. Storm of Thorns in an attempt to kill the Baby Green, so I want to reclaim on top of that, and then just a Tidal Lock on the reclaim. Again, a strange one when I have a billion in hand, but we talked about it later, and he was just like, yeah, Tidal Lock isn't doing much in this matchup, so I figured I would just send it there. And again, I definitely disagree with that. But, you know, it was the play that was made. I think, like I said, if you can hold a couple of them and get your Enfeebling Orb out, you will counter one impactful spell. It might be the Arcane Blast. It might be like one of the commands, if they have to stack commands. Because on the turn that they're going for it, they're often DGing, recycling the DG, and then having to play a win condition, which adds up. You know, that's like 11, 12, 13 cards. Floating into Guoja with the Reclaim. And now Prereq, Baby Green, you already know. Now the Baby Green has Fast Activate, the Candlelight Hourglass is safe as well. You know, if any Fracturize or something goes for it, you can just Fast Activate the Baby Green in response. Playing both Ensnaring Fumes. I probably should have held an Ensnaring Fumes. But now we have a Cake to go with our other Baby Green. We got some Windmill Engineers. Now we can really start churning value, depending on cards in hand. I'm drawing 2 at the end step as well. But I probably could have imbued a Windmill as well and held up the Ensnaring Fumes instead of laying the Ensnaring Fumes for the Baby Green. But, again, I think, admittedly, I was playing not sloppy. It is sloppy, but it's I would say loose is more of the expression there. It feels like my opponent had such a slow start both games that I didn't have to do a ton of like hard thinking. That sounds pretty bad, but just like I didn't have to dance around too much. My opponent was just on such low influence through pretty much both games that I just, the lines I was doing, even if they got countered or even if there was counterplay, I'm like fine. So there wasn't a lot of pressure on top of my opponent not having a lot of influence, which is unfortunate. Okay, Icebound Slam is, I think this is just imbuing a Fractal of Rain. Yeah. Another Tidal Lock. So we had a Tidal Lock banished, a Tidal Lock played, and then a Tidal Lock down there. I don't run Nullifying, so Tidal Lock could have just been, like, you could have stacked 3 of them for 1 each later in the game based on this. Something to look at. Reclaim the Baby Green. I didn't mention it when it happened, but notably my opponent did get to float to Vapor Jet Shield this game. That's a lot better. And it does do a lot to prevent the chip damage that I'm trying to do. But here we go. Go into 2. Lay 3. And at end step, I'll be at 3 quest counters. And I really like to be at 3 quest counters when I DG to level 2, because then I get the card draw. Baby Green is going to be met with an Acquiescing, and I snap that off so fast. Not only do I have another one, but I just have so many cards. It's like, okay, you got it. If my Baby Green could be a 1-for-1 after plussing me so much, I'm chill. I probably want to just lay 1 here. Do I have a Fairy Whispers? Yeah, I want to just lay 1 here. Get the Fairy Whispers, get my 3rd quest counter. I probably should have kept that Harness Lightning. I shipped it to the bottom. Probably should have kept it. I had another one in hand, was what was going on in my brain. But the one that was in my hand is currently in my memory. I'm banishing it for the Azurite Fatestone. So I should have kept the other one. So then on either the next turn or the following turn, I could have went Transform Seiryuu, Seiryuu's command, Harness Lightning, Byaku's command. That's the 40 damage turn, right? That's where you go swing in for 8, Arcane Blast, swing in for 9, or swing in for 9 Arcane Blast, swing in for 9 Arcane Blast. And that's 40 damage. Even with the Vapor Jet Shield, that's 36 damage. That's lethal through the Serene Release. Going up to Nico level 2, losing both the cards that were imbued for the Fractal of Rain, milling a Frostbind. This is just an HP padding. And again, I'm super duper safe here, I think. Conniving Plans in main phase. And not sure if this is just to get water count engraved. Not sure if this is just to, play some cards. Get some stuff down, because that could have been done in end phase. Maybe scared of the Nullifying being materialized, but you can always respond to that as well. Fairy Whispers into another Fairy Whispers. I'm just looking for more damage at this point. Looking for another Byaku's, looking for another Byaku's, looking for another Harness Lightning. Actually finding wait, am I on no DG right now? I might be looking for DG. I was, yeah. I'm on no DG right now. So that was me looking for Dungeon Guide. Finding it, getting rewarded. And then I'm just gonna regular level to Guoja level 2, save myself some influence by not having to displace the DG. Drawing into her because I know she's there. And then pre-rec. I like not to do any Baby Green shenanigans. I just want to hold all of my influence. And then, did I just lay a Harness Lightning again for DG? I don't know what I'm doing. I think I got overconfident here. I think I was just like, oh yeah, this has to be lethal. And spoiler alert, it's not. Because Vapor Jet Shield is out, and Serene Release is there, and Nico has 25 max HP. So, yeah, I laid another Harness Lightning. I was just like... I was just pushing buttons. Like, yeah, I guess I got to that point. I was just pushing buttons where it was just like, okay, I'm just going to do stuff. This has to be lethal. I have a billion cards in hand. And it turns out it won't be. So Seiryuu's command, I think opponent's on 1 in hand. Yeah, opponent's on like 1 in hand. So I was like, oh, this just has to be lethal. And I started trolling, as one does. Serious command, triple generate. I let the triple generate resolve. Again, against water. Oh no, he's on 3 in hand. Okay. So against water, I don't want to get too greedy with my Seiryuu stacking and such. So I just take the 4 damage reduced to 3 from the Vapor Jet Shield, and then Arcane Blast after combat. I don't want, like, the 1 damage that you get from Byaku's during combat is not worth getting blown out by Song of Frost. So I just let the 4 hit in most cases against water, and then get my Arcane Blast, and then Byaku's after the fact. Yes, I lose 1 damage, but you know, it's way safer. Now that the Spalling Cleanse was played, I'm just going for it. So he was at 3, the Spalling Cleanse brought him to 0, the Arcane Blast dealt 10. And then this is going to do 5 reduced to 4, which is 14. And then I'm an Arcane Blast for 11 reduced to 10. 24. And it's not lethal. It would have been lethal if not for the Spalling Cleanse, but also there's a Serene Release. So, oh, I had Incap backup too. Maybe I should have Byaku's first, and then forced the Serene Release. But like I said, definitely playing just really loose here. In my own head, I'm like, how do I ever lose this? Mage Bane last comes down. This isn't like foreshadowing or anything either. I think it is just literally like, how do you ever lose this? Got a lash counter for banishing the float. Did not get the lash counter for the Nico on enter. Looks like we both missed that. That should be 5 lash counters on the Nico. Sitting here on an Incap and a Veiling. The Veiling is for a lot as well. Yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. At least 6 is what the Veiling would be for. I don't know if Ravishing's online. I know the Fracturize was milled by the Fractal Rain, but I don't know if Ravishing is online. Even if Ravishing hits me, I know I'm not dead. Right? Don't have much to fear there. Looks like there's not 2 float in the yard for the Ravishing. So just a pass from my opponent. At which point I'm like, I probably have to have lethal here. Reliquary, it's not going to do anything, just the only other thing I can really materialize. I think Censor's the last card there. And as I look, it's really just going to be swing and generate a blast. This is for 5, reduced to 4. Attempt to revitalize and cleanse for my opponent. Going to be met with an Incap by me. I didn't do any math here, by the way. I just literally turned the dragon sideways. I think it's actually better to just let him heal 4 here. He would be at 20. He would then be reduced to 14 by the Serene Release. Seiryuu would put him to 18, and the Arcane Blast would kill. So the Incap actually screwed me up because I'm on 7 in hand now instead of 8 in hand. Just did 0 math. I'm like, okay, it's not lethal yet. And then actually, gosh, watching this got super sloppy at the end, eh? Because now watching this, I baby green the Vapor Jet Shield, which I'm pretty sure you can Temptations Facade to subvert. But I mean, we talked about it afterwards again. I said that a lot here, but we talked about it afterwards. He's like, yeah, this is definitely just lethal. All right, that was match 2. Not particularly close, right? I think that's a hard matchup for Nico. I think the way that Seiryuu can just accrue advantage, unless you're hitting a lot of your Frost Warrens and your like ally strategies, or you're, you know, turboing floats through your own self mill and hitting kind of what would be a high roll. I think that one's pretty hard for Nico. I'd like to play it a little bit more just to see, but yeah, that's game 2. Let's get on to game 3. Okay, and here we have game 3. This is going to be myself against a Fire Merlin aggro player. Pretty cool. This was somebody who came to the local for the first time this Tuesday. So borrowed a Fire aggro deck from a friend. Talked about having played Flesh and Blood for a while, and I think if you're a Flesh and Blood player, Fire Aggro really does just click. You know, it's a lot about adding up your damage lines, a lot about just finding kind of the way to maximize your cards to damage ratio. So this is going to be myself versus Fire Aggro. When I'm on like wind value decks, I sometimes feel like I struggle with Fire Aggro. I sometimes feel like I have some difficulty. I've noticed that they have some lines that are just really strong, and if I don't draw defense, that just ends up being all she wrote. And we are actually gonna see that in one of these games, kind of spoiler alert. So looks like he gets to go first, draws to his 7 cards, and he is going to play Arthur turn 1, one of the best turn 1s you can have in a Fire Aggro deck, not surprising. So looking at my hand, I don't see a Dream Fairy, don't really see an answer. I see a couple ways to dig. I'm going to do one of those now. So I'm going to go ahead and play Scout the Land. Scout the Land comes down, and we go ahead and search the top 4. Definitely looking for Dream Fairy here. That's my answer to Arthur. This hand is pretty rough. Going to draw the Forest Cake, and, you know, still looking at my hand, I think I'm going to use this Fairy Whispers to get those Arcane cards to the bottom of my deck. Those are not ones I want to see in this matchup. And we're gonna put those on the bottom, and we're gonna draw the other Scout the Land. So plenty more ways to go looking for Dream Fairy. As we look at this, I have 4 in hand, gonna draw to 5. If I play Fairy Whispers, I could find a Dream Fairy and play it on the Arthur. I instead elect to play the Cake. That'll leave me with 3 cards in hand, so that I can then, you know, backup charger or Thurible or whatever makes sense on my turn. Explaining some of the cards, you know, as I play them, just because he's new. Gonna go ahead and wake up and play Merlin Memorite Vassal. So this is a Fire Merlin deck. A lot of synergies with various things. She gets a weapon effectively for free on level up. Arthur on turn 1 leaves you with leaves you with 2 cards in hand, and does let you make that Memorite Blade. Similar lines are played with Inert Sword, you know, in some other decks. So Clumsy Apprentice also coming down, going to deal 2 to my opponent. Draw him a card. Looking at about 4 damage coming in on board right now. I'm sitting on no defense this turn. Not usually too worried about being defensive. If something crazy happened, I did have a Fairy Whispers to dig for a Veiling Breeze. So I had that in mind, but there wasn't a whole lot to be done in some of this. So Arthur coming in for 2. And red hair. Can't have one without the other. Little scary here. I already have the Veiling Breeze. Excuse me. I thought that was a Fairy Whispers as well in my hands. So red hair comes down. That's going to be another 4. I do just take it here. I thought about Veiling Breezing it a little bit here. Smoke Out discarded. Notable, because that does deal with Dream Fairy. And then I go up to 8. Go to my turn. I think I probably should have leveled up here. There's a lot of pressure on board. But I go ahead and backup charger. Draw into memory. Recollect. I'm recollecting 9 cards. So I put immediately 3 Sheen counters on myself. This is something I wasn't thinking about initially. But I'm definitely thinking about now as, you know, the games progress. You'll see that in later games that I keep in mind how much I'm recollecting. Try not to just dump prereq if I can help it. I'm going to go ahead and turbocharge to draw 2 here. I also have the Unmake in hand, so I could draw 2 more. DG. Honestly, DG feels like an okay option here to pad my health total a little bit. I might end up doing it. I could even DG Displace as an option here. But I am going to Unmake first. Going to bring me up to 6 cards, which would let me DG Veiling, which seems pretty good. Alternative options. I still haven't found the Dream Fairy, so alternative options would be to just dig more. Try to do that. Looks like I may be DGing here. Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and play the DG. This will leave me with Reclaim and Veiling. Oh, hold on, I second guess it. Would leave me with Reclaim and Veiling as options. Reclaiming the DG, getting a Candlelight Hourglass, and then playing her again. It seems pretty good. This seems like a DG to 1 that I definitely agree with. Pad my life total. A lot of pressure on board. It also kills the Clumsy Apprentice. Oops, there I go under the table. Once per video, I have to drop a card and go under the table with my spelunking cam, right? And so pick Tua. I lose Displace and Forest Cake. Displace is an unfortunate one to lose. I maybe should have held it instead of the Reclaim. Actually, in hindsight, yeah, now that I think about that, holding the Displace instead of the Reclaim there would let me displace the DG on my opponent's turn to pseudo heal for 3, right? I could get to level 2 and potentially heal for 3. But I seem pretty content to be on the Veiling plan right now. I'm showing what Seiryuu does, explaining what Seiryuu does. A bit complicated when you bring something like Seiryuu to locals. It's not the simplest deck in the world, and also its game plan isn't, super duper straightforward. Well, I shouldn't say that. The game plan is pretty straightforward, but the way the deck is played, there's a lot of intricacies, and I remember, I would play something and ask, do you want to do anything with your opportunity? And a lot of times it would just be like, oh, yeah, I don't know what that card does. There's a lot of explaining here. Seiryuu draw is going to leave me with, again, the Reclaim and the Veiling as options. Pass it back. Feeling okay here. Actually, I'm feeling pretty good here. There was one thing that I forgot about, though. I was not keeping Incapacitate in mind. We'll see that in a second. But I was not keeping Incapacitate in mind. Looking now, my opponent having 1 card in hand, 4 card in memory, so not a ton of influence. I may have punted by not Veiling Breezing on their recollection. I let them recollect, and as I'm foreshadowing here, wow, I even had the Dream Fairy in hand, so like I was probably chilling if I just Veiling Breezed now. It doesn't feel great because they're not wasting any resource, they're not doing anything. I do lose my DG as well, not that that's a huge deal. But yeah, they crack GCR, only have 2 in hand, so here's my chance to Veiling safely. However, I let him recollect, and as a result, all this damage about to come in. On board already, there's 2 from Arthur, 4 from Red Hair. That's 6. That puts me to 14. And then you've got the Memorite Blade is now live with a Kindle. So I'll go up to 9. 10 from the Sword. 13 from the Merlin attack. 15 from the Arthur attack. And then 19 from the Red Hair attack. So it is lethal on board now. I do decide to take the 1 here. I guess I'm not realizing that he doesn't even need to commit more. I should have put it on the Molten, because if I had counted here, he doesn't need to commit any more to win the game from here. I go for the Veiling on the weapon attack. I guess to get a durability off the weapon is the idea. But then he takes a quick peek. He's like, what kind of card is Veiling Breeze? Oh, it's an action? Yeah, Incapacitate. And that is all she wrote. I count quickly, and I'm like, oh yeah, you do have lethal. So, played it a bit, I guess aggressive, or maybe greedy is a better word. I played it greedy that game, really tried to just accrue a bunch of value instead of, making sure my health total was secure, and I totally forgot about in-cap. So we're going to remember in-cap in these coming games. Game 2 starting up now. I'll be on the play. So, funny little thing here. I have some superstition, but I didn't cut his deck game 1. I just tapped it, and it was like Arthur Red Hair in cap, and I'm like, okay, I'm cutting your deck for game 2. Even at locals, it's like, all right, come on, man. Nice. So now we have the Dream Fairy. We have a lot of good stuff going on here. Oh, noteworthy, I didn't side this game because he said, oh yeah, this deck that I borrowed does have a side deck, but I don't know enough about the game to intelligently side. And I'm like, yeah, that makes sense. Let's just go ahead and play 3 game 1s effectively. I won't side either. If you're curious, though, I would definitely be siding in Calming Breeze. I would probably side in an Ensnaring Fumes, maybe even an Innervate Agility for the stealth. And Side out is similar to the Fractals matchup. Side out Regals, side out Seiryuu's command. You don't need those cards. You don't need those cards to win. Okay, so back to the game. Played Red Hair, didn't really understand the Pride mechanic. Again, new player, totally understandable. So didn't understand the Pride mechanic, and as a result, tried to play Red Hair turn 1. We talked about it back and forth, and I'm like, you probably just want to take that back. Which he does, I believe. Having to think about it. I guess just seeing like, hey, could I follow up with a human ally? Doesn't seem to have one. Or a unique human ally. Doesn't seem to have one. So elects to instead just pass the turn. And when I hear pass the turn, I'm like, oh yes, that is good. I'm going to backup charger. Don't need to pad my life total yet. There's no pressure on board. Maybe we'll see like a spell come in or something, but I'm not too worried. Then I see the Veiling Breezes off of this Fairy Whispers, which I'm resolving before the backup charger. I keep one of them, put the other on the bottom. I also have one in memory. I think when it comes to fire aggro, you don't need an abundance of Veiling Breezes. You need like 1, maybe 2 well-timed Veiling Breezes to stop the damage on like a Rending Flames or stop the damage on a combo turn. Like in Merlin's case, maybe the Poison Dagger turn, or stop her from siphoning Sheen from you. You don't need to have Veiling every turn. Eventually, they're going to find a way around the Veiling. They're either going to be playing something like Farouk, or they're going to make Nullifying Mirror, at which point your Veiling kind of becomes useless, unless you have 2 of them. This deck can deal with that a little bit better. As Demolition comes into my face, I just played a Windmill Engineer. This turn, Demolition's coming at me. Not going to do anything about that. I do have an in-cap for it, I believe. But I'm not going to do anything about that. This deck, as I was saying, has actually a decent-ish way to deal with Nullifying Mirror later in the game. When they go to, do the damage that you want to Veiling, you can respond with a baby green slime at fast speed, since you are Tamer, attempt to suppress the Nullifying Mirror, and then as they have to activate it in response to that, and then with that activation on the stack, you can put your Veiling Breeze on top of it. So that is kind of nice that you're a little more insulated against Nullifying Mirror than something like a Wind Luxum or just kind of a, traditional kind of wind slop style deck. But that doesn't come up in this game. Veteran Blazebearer, the play for my opponent after leveling into Merlin, decides to keep it up as a taunter. I think it's probably better to swing in matchups like this. The taunt isn't going to be super relevant, largely. I mean, you're winning any kind of race that I'm able to put up, but with that in mind, you read that card as a new player and you're like, well, it gains taunt, I should probably try to utilize the taunt, and that's what happened here. We talked about that a little bit as well. Purifying Thurible, just going to keep drawing. I have double Veiling. I have in-cap. I'm pretty comfy with where I'm sitting, so I can take time to draw more cards. We draw another Dream Fairy. Blazebearer seems like a good enough target as any to hit with this Dream Fairy. So we go ahead and do that. Send that back to memory. Probably should have swung with it. We'll see if it ends up mattering. I'm not sure exactly what the life totals were at the end of this game. I'm explaining how Dream Fairy works, that you can't play it again, and then coming in for 2. On the second swing, just to get the Memorite Blade active, and also maybe save a little bit of health, we got a Molten Echo. As I played this match, I'm realizing Molten Echo is actually quite good. It's a 1-card 2 damage, but it's a really easy way to turn on your Memorite Blade, and it sticks around. And I had already used my Thurible here, so probably not gonna stop that if he wants to use it again on a later turn. He has a big think on this turn on what to materialize. There was some confusion, I remember. This was a turn where I believe he makes Verucan Soul Knife. And I don't think Verucan Soul Knife is... Oh, those are Sheen counters popping on me there, by the way. We had missed it. Verucan Soul Knife is an interesting materialize, right? Because normally you get that for free. But what I'm realizing watching this game now, thinking about it, like, I thought it was super weird in the moment. But thinking about it now, Molten Echo being your only fire card in graveyard, you probably want to save your fire cards to start kindling that. So, not sure if there was a better Materialize, like maybe Impact Hammer or something, but I don't think Broken Soul Knife is an outright bad influence. Or, excuse me, not influence. Outright bad materialization. I say influence there because of the confusion around how Rococo worked. He didn't quite. He thought he needed 4 or more influence, I believe. And then thought, you know, having all this in play would help with that. Instead, we're just going to get a Blazing Throw on the Broken Soul Knife. I'm considering negating this. I think any card in a fire aggro deck that's dealing 4 or more damage it's worth the negate. If they're dealing 3 damage with it, if they're dealing 2 damage especially, you could probably bypass it. But everywhere that I'm trying to use like my incaps, use my veilings, use my, you know, stifling traps maybe on an on-enter, like a Peppered Chef or a Rococo, that's where I want to stop 4 damage with my cards if I can. Because that's usually... Well, I don't want... Yeah, that's like... Not max value that they get, but that's a lot of their cards that are like rated well are dealing 4 damage. Smoke Out is going to pop my Dream Fairy. Blaze Bearer could come back out. I don't think it ends up happening. And he's on 4 influence now, so I'm feeling pretty good. It's probably level up time. It might be DG to 1 time. I still could draw another card here. He was asking if his Blade was live, and it was because of Molten Echo. Really good that Molten Echo turns on the Blade, I think. We got the Sheen counter from the Molten Echo as well was forgotten. Little sloppy, you know, when a new player is playing. So I'm eyeing the redraw here, but I mean, you died so fast last game. Yeah, thank you. It's time to level. All right, so we're going up. Azurite Fatestone hits the field. I lose a Veiling, so kind of unfortunate that I was still holding the Veiling there. Or I was holding a Veiling. What was I holding in hand? I laid just kind of willy-nilly off the in cap. Probably not thinking that I was necessarily leveling this turn, but there's certainly better that I could have laid. Or, yeah, better. There's certainly something I could have laid instead of that Veiling and held the Veiling. Scout the land here. I'm not entirely sure what I'm looking for. Maybe a Dungeon Guide just to get my life total a little bit better. Stifling Trap also pretty good. Trying not to keep too deep in my mind that Rococo was, you know, played erroneously. I take the Turbocharge instead. Again, with this deck, when you do something like Scout the Land, it's so good because I'm going to get through all 4 of the cards that I saw with the Scout the Land. 1 is going to come from the Scout the Land itself. 2 from the Turbocharge, and then 1 from the Azurite Fatestone end step trigger. So I'm not Brainstorm locked at all. I'm through all 4 of those cards and, you know, able to utilize them. So we're triggering. I have 4 Sheen counters on myself as well. I recollected a lot of cards this game as well. And, you know, every time I look at myself, I'm like, well, dang, I have so much Sheen on myself. How's this happening? And I started playing around it a little bit better in game 3. Okay, so we got 1 Arcane banished. Seiryuu's command is very live now. It's like an end step. We saw the Molten go to banish. I'm not entirely sure if that was cast. It looks like it was, and I missed it on my overlay here. So I'm actually at 4 here. Hope that doesn't end up mattering. Well, it doesn't, because on my notepad, I know that I'm at 4. Okay, he goes Grand Crusader's Ring. Just taking the extra draw. This is, I mean, we're reaching the kind of tipping point in the Fire Aggro matchup, especially Fire Aggro Assassin, where if you haven't turned the corner by now, where if you're not threatening, like, potential lethal this turn, you're probably not winning. Memorite Blade coming in. I'm electing not even to do anything about that. So I'm going to go to 8, not 7. And so, again, 11 damage still necessary. You can see me talking there like, wow, I have so many Sheen counters on myself. I just recollect so many cards. Okay, Grand Crusader's Ring popping. I'm feeling pretty comfy here. I got Stifling Trap for like Pepper Chef type stuff, if they do that. Rococo, probably too much influence for Rococo. I got a Veiling. I think I got an Incap in there too. Yeah, I have Veiling plus Incap as something I can do for turn. We return to the red hair confusion. Again, I believe he tries to swing with the red hair with pride here again. That, or I think I said something along the lines of like, hey, Rococo is a automaton, not a human. And he's like, yeah. And I'm like, okay, well. And then this happens, right? Looks like he's trying to activate the red hair with Rococo. Trying to have enough low influence to activate the Rococo as well. And here's where I mentioned, I'm like, Rococo isn't a human, so red hair is not live. You still want to do this? He's on 5 influence after playing the Rococo. And so I believe we rewind this sequence. Yeah. Cannot do that. So I believe we rewind this turn. It's important, I think, important to be patient with new players. Not really try to get their goat with things like this, right? So it is going to be a Blazing Throw instead. Similar to before, I think I probably incap this. I'm sitting at 8. This would push me up to 12. Yeah. Up to 12. Again, apologies. The overlay missed that 1 damage from before. But I guess I'm just not scared. Wow, I even go Tengu here. I guess I'm just really confident in this Veiling Breeze keeping me alive. I have Veiling Breeze with in-cap backup. So I guess that's sufficient in my head to just keep pushing and keep getting value. Fairy Whisper's out. Probably could have Fairy Whispered before the Tengu. But at this point, the game feels pretty sealed. Got a Byako's command coming in. Probably lethal enough with that. So that'll go to hand. And what am I at? 4, 8, 9, 12. So DG displaced double Byakos after I draw for turn and go to 13. 13 cards is DG displaced double Byakos. That's probably lethal. That 4 or 5 plus 6 plus 6. 17. It's exactly lethal. It might even let me cast an Arcane Blast if I do that. I'm doing some math here. It was funny, one of the locals said, as soon as you start tapping the table, I know I'm dead. I think that's pretty funny, because yeah, I only really do the like table tap math, the Yu-Gi-Oh math, when I'm like pretty sure I have lethal and I just have to double and triple check. Yeah, the DG's coming. Opponent's on 2 in hand after playing the red hair and the Blazing Throw. So nothing to worry about. As far as in-cap goes, nothing to worry about. As far as like fast speed, enough damage to kill me. Me being at 12 versus 11 definitely doesn't matter here. And it's just miscounted on the recap, so I'm going to stop beating a dead horse with that. So I take the 2 quest counters. DG for 1 even also gets in here. Yeah, so before I displace, let me 1 you. And then displace. Flicker the DG. Comes back in. Is there a fast speed? So hold on, we've got... Could he have, in theory, fast speed killed the DG? 2 in hand... So you can kindle the Molten Echo from grave. No, there's no way. There's just, if there were more fire in grave, you could by having like a second Molten Echo, but that's not going to be the case. We will activate Seiryuu. Swing in. I did it this way without doing the on stack Byaku's damage because I didn't need it. Like I didn't say before damage Byaku's. I just wanted to keep it simple with a new player in there. Buff counter up, so you're at 7. 7 go to 12. I should have done it here to make sure the combat damage was lethal, but I was also, because I had banished the Harness Lightning earlier, I was empowering for 4 each time. So this was with double Byaku's, it was empower for 8. And so even though this attack only puts to 18, the blast is free because I have empower 8. And we go to game 3. Little conversation there just about, oh, maybe if I had the Blaze Barrette, I would have survived. And I think that is true, but I still think that isn't a one game. All right, popping into game 3. Last game of the evening. My opponent will be on the play. You know, as always, kind of praying for no Arthur. Or praying if there is an Arthur, I can find that Dream Fairy. That is the main thing in this matchup that, you know, it buys me so many turns if I can do that. So, hoping we see the cards that we're looking for here. Okay, what do we got? Forest Cake, double Reclaim, Displace, double Byaku's, and Incap. No allies. So I'm kind of sweating. Tweedledum, the play for my opponent. I like Tweedledum in the Merlin deck. I think if you're Fire Assassin aggro, being a 3-2 body, having the stealth makes a lot of difference. Yeah, it stinks if they get like a Bullfrog or especially something like an Aeson Protector out where they can divert your attack into that. Or in the case of the Wind deck, they can divert it to something like a Baby Green and then bounce the Baby Green to make it useless. But that's not going to matter this game. The draw for turn was Veiling Breeze, and then the draw for the Forest Cake was also Veiling Breeze. So plenty of good defensive cards here. Just no allies to get my own game plan started with. Incapacitate Banish, love to see that. As my opponent levels to Merlin, gets the Blade. Just a Tweedledum out. Stifling Trap would also kill Tweedledum here. It is a 3-2. But no such luck. Feeling like I am going to absolutely take 3 damage here. And honestly, not much to do with my hand. I think there's an argument to be made to level up here. Get a little extra health. Start drawing an extra card every turn with the Seiryuu passive. I think a redraw, since I'm holding 2 Veilings, is totally valid. And I also think leveling up is valid here. I'm not... Okay, I went with Backup Charger. Oh, and then I'm going to recollect. Right, I did mention this. I started thinking about Sheen counters a lot more. And one thing here is I had 2 in memory. So if I recollect there, I end up with no Sheen versus ending up with a Sheen counter if I recollect with the Backup Charger activation prereq. There's not much I can draw into either that I'm like super desperate for or digging for. So I just say pass. And my plan here is definitely to activate the Backup Charger and use Veiling Breeze. Heated Vengeance coming down from my opponent after materializing Impact Hammer. Pretty early and aggressive Heated Vengeance here. The 7 damage attempting to come in. 3 on my opponent first. Delay 3, activate the Backup Charger, hoping to draw a Wind card into memory. No such luck. It's an Unmake Duality. Not too bad, though. And then I get to lay another Wind card. I was thinking about double Veiling here. I was also thinking about displacing the Tweedledum to lay more cards here. I believe in the end I just intended to... I just did this. I think I just did the Veiling. Yeah, and it's Veiling for 4. Which is going to prevent all but 3 of that Heated Vengeance damage. And also prevent the Tweedledum damage. Yep. Tweedledum's not going to do anything. They go. Probably worth a level here. I do have another Veiling Breeze, which I didn't reveal in this. But I could see. I think I probably should level here. Again, I think that value of like getting to draw an extra card every turn on the end step and search for an ally is quite valuable here. But when I'm also holding 3 reclaims, it's kind of hard to like not wait for an ally to use with that before trying to level up. And so we're talking about just how Veiling Breeze interacts and how it lasts for the turn, and kind of ways to play around Veiling Breeze or things to look for, you know, like particularly the line of like killing your opponent in their recollection phase after they've Veilinged because their protection's gone. I feel like this is a level up, yeah. I like the level up a lot here. Don't really care which one I lose. I'd rather not lose the Unmake. Of course I do. Get my On-Enter, get my Rock. And recollect, it's 4, so we'll get 1 Sheen counter. Draw for turn was a Scout the Land. That's pretty good, because that's going to let me lay cards and be influence neutral and really dig for these allies. Like 1 baby green. If I can find 1 baby green, I can really start rolling. Unmake Seiryuu's Reclaim Forest Cake. Okay, so same situation as last game. I'm actually able to just chew through all 4 of those if I draw the Unmake with this Scout the Land. It's not going to get any better, right? There's no ally in sight. So as best as we can get through these, we should. So I grab the Unmake. Gonna be playing that. Probably planning on dropping another Veiling. I mean, again, we're at this point where if we can just get a couple more quest counters naturally, or a couple of quest counters, we don't have any yet, but if we can get a couple of quest counters naturally, then it's GG. There's double Byakko in hand, right? So I think this is a Unmake, draw 2, get a random card as well. Or no, it's the Reclaim, right? Yeah, we didn't draw the Reclaim that was there yet. Forest Cake will let us draw the Reclaim. Keeping this in mind, right? I'm at 3 cards. I'm going to be Veiling pretty much no matter what anyways. So no reason. Like, if you can't hold up 2 pieces of interaction, I think there's actually only a little bit of value in bluffing that you have 2 pieces of interaction. This Fire Aggro deck doesn't really have a choice but to go for it most of the time. I think that's the most true with Fire Aggro Assassin. Probably the least true with Fire Aggro Guoja, like Suzaku type decks. I think they can wait and they can accrue value, but this Fire Aggro Merlin and Fire Aggro Xander, they're going to be going for it. So I wouldn't think it's as prudent to hold up 2 pieces of interaction. Anyways, I'm kind of rambling about that. Going to the opponent's turn, they do materialize GCR, and they have, I don't remember how many cards in hand. I think that's their memory. And so I'm in response to GCR. Oh yeah, because they did the Molten Echo, right? So they did 1 damage to me with the Molten Echo, so they're hands down. So before they get a chance to recollect, I'm not going to let it happen again. Before they get a chance to recollect, I'm just going to Veiling for 6. In response to GCR even. Just to prevent a card draw even. Opponent goes to draw. Not a whole lot that can be done this turn. Wouldn't be surprised to just see a pass here. Gonna develop a March Hare. Makes enough sense. Looking at what I've got going on. It's hard not to go to level 2 here. I don't really know what else I would materialize. I only have 2 cards in hand after playing the Veiling. Okay, I'm just going to go straight to level 2. Take those 2. I do lose a Byakko's here, so my kill is a little harder, but I don't know. I'm still pretty juiced with my hand. Up to 5 quest counters. I don't take the draw. A DG rip here would be incredibly good. I get 2 Sheen counters. I feel like that's wrong. Did I miscount my Sheen there? Or maybe I only recollected 5 because of the in any case, I don't think it mattered terribly much. Baby green slime comes down, suppresses the forest cake. Looking at my hand, so I have Displace on Tweedledum, and I have Incap as potential points of interaction. I crashed the March, or the Baby Green into the March Hare. He made a play to try to Molten Echo the Baby Green, but you know, March Hare when kindled does just come back. So essentially you're getting the same thing, but you can put the 1 damage on my face instead. Then we get the extra draw off of the Azurite Fatestone. Oh, I have Seiryuu's command and Byaku's command in hand. So yeah, if I get to next turn, I should just have lethal. Seiryuu's Byaku is easily 20 damage. So now some of the locals are just giving some tips on kind of what to do on this turn. Like, you know, you should draw with GCR on the end step to see what all your options are. You've got a few materialize options. So I'm getting Molten Echoed for 1. Gonna go up to 8 in the March Hare. And then thinking on end, probably, I believe they tell him to crack the ring. Oh, they throw another Molten Echo at me. Okay, I take 1 more. Go to 9. And now on thinking what to materialize, they talk about what you could make. I think Prism Spire Spectre comes up because I'm at 2 Sheen. That could put me to 3 Sheen. Oop. Okay, they take back the Molten Echo. It was a little chaotic here. There was quite a few cooks in the kitchen trying to tell him different lines, and I think everyone's lines were pretty valid, I think. So it's just a matter of how much, you know. So essentially the debate here was, do you go Prism Spire Scepter, put 2 Sheen counters on me to get a damage bump when you hit with your weapon, or do you go Nullifying Mirror to try to stop Veiling Breeze? And I even mentioned, I'm like, I already used a couple Veiling Breezes. I think the person kind of closest to the bottom of the screen here said he already banished one, he already used one. But if you do go Prism Spire Spectre and I have Veiling Breeze, it's pretty bad. But then, I don't think I mentioned it in the moment, but I'm saying it now. If I have Veiling Breeze, I'm going to do it in response to Nullifying Mirror, right? There's no window, like there's no chance that it stops veiling this turn. Nullifying is going to stop veiling on future turns. And if you need this turn to be the kill turn, the Nullifying is not going to help you do that. But there's a bit of debate around. I think eventually he cracks the ring. Yeah, there it is. Cracks the ring just to see what he's drawing into, what other options might be there. I'm looking at my hand and I'm just like, you know, I'm pretty sure I got this if I get back to my turn. I have 1 piece of interaction. I think I have 1 Incap, yeah. But there's a lot of stuff that could come through on his side that just kills me, right? Nullifying Mirror doesn't make the difference. Prism Spire Scepter might have, because he's already got on board 2 from the Hammer, 3 from Tweedle, and 1 from March Hare, so that's 6. And then the Prism Spire would be another 3, would be 9, that'd be 17. He would only need 5 damage. And he has 1 damage sitting in his graveyard in the form of that Molten Echo. So, I mean, that's very achievable. I'm looking at my hand. I'm thinking about displacing the Tweedledum here. It is a Moat Seer that comes down prereq. Very strong. This is a 4 damage on 1 card. I thought about incapping this. Honestly, I probably should have incapped this. This is probably the most I can stop for my money here. And it's already on the stack. I thought about, but like I said, I thought about displacing the Tweedledum. When this Moat Seer presents itself, that should already be out of the question. It should just be, do I incap this Moat Seer or do I wait? because I have no answers to anything else. I threw away my baby green last turn, which could have maybe suppressed an impact hammer to stop 5 damage of a heated vengeance. But instead, it is just the hammer coming in, puts my opponent up to 6, puts me to 14, and I'm just sitting. I mean, I should have lost this game because I'm sitting here hoping that something will get played that I can in-cap that will be enough, like, will stop lethal. I'm just hoping I can in-cap something that will stop lethal. And essentially that is only Blazing Throw. I did some math in my head when I was prepping for this turn, I remember, and I was thinking about double Blazing Throw. I don't think double Blazing Throw is ever a concern here. These two are coming in for 3 and 1. Here's where I realized I messed up. I'm like, oh, he might just have he could just have another ally, like a Peppered Chef. He could, well, Peppered Chef I could actually stop. Never mind. I could displace a Peppered Chef, but I was just like, oh, he's just gonna have like something that can kill me, basically. Like red hair was one short. Maybe I did do the math properly, such that I was like, he needs another 4 damage action because he attacked already. He needs another 4 damage action or Heated Vengeance to kill me here. And so I do in cap. And as a result, I think having spewed all those words, the correct play may have been to hold Baby Green last turn, because that plays around Heated Vengeance, because you can suppress the Impact Hammer. And then you also have Displace, which plays around Peppered Chef, which is another 4 damage instance. And then you also have Incap, which plays around Blazing Throw. But yeah, I remember he showed the hand at the end. I don't know if we'll see it on camera or not, but there was a Vermilion Decree in there. And I think there was a world where he could have imbued the Vermilion Decree to draw an extra card to play the Blazing Throw. Like, he played the Moat Seer prereq. I think he probably could have played the Vermilion prereq and then drew an extra card. I would have drawn an extra card too, so maybe not worth it either. This is a really interesting turn, though. I've thought about this turn for a while since playing this local this week. There's a lot. I think I should have died. There's a Moat Seer in the graveyard or not Moat Seer, excuse me. Molten Echo in the graveyard. That's representative of 1 more damage. He can kindle the other Molten Echo. No, he can't. He's on 1 in hand, 2 in hand. Yeah, he could do both the Molten Echoes, but I think that's about it. So I do believe I survived this turn. I laid one of the Seiryuu commands when I played the end cap. The plan there being, if I banish it, the next Seiryuu command, or rather the other Seiryuu command, is going to make my Arcane Blast free, and then that's just like obviously a kill. If I don't banish it, I still will have 2 cards in hand because I'll empower to 9 and play the Seiryuu command. So Recollect, draw. I don't believe he has anything on Recollect. Sitting on 9 quest counters there. Oh, okay, I hadn't activated Guoja 3 yet. So 12 quest counters, more than enough. Recollect, draw. 5 cards in hand. Seiryuu command, even without any banished arcane, gets you to an empower of 6. So total effective level of 9. And as a result, it becomes 2-cost Arcane Blast. I have 2 cards remaining in my hand. So Seiryuu command on Seiryuu, swing, triple trigger, and generate the blast first, then empower, then empower. Empower for effective 6. I am level 9. I explain what that means and why that's relevant. And then I do believe he was on 2 cards in hand. And he couldn't have been on in-cap anyways, because if he was on in-cap, he would have just in-capped my in-cap last turn for the lethal Blazing Throw, and then Arcane Blast for game. So that is the finals of locals. Win Seiryuu Guoja, takes all 3. Deck is very good. Really enjoyed it. And yeah. that's all she wrote for that one. We're just discussing a little bit about what some coulda, woulda, shouldas. There was a lot of decisions made on that last turn, and yeah, I think that's that. All right. Well, I hope you enjoyed this week's local long play. Next week is probably Water Luxem Xander. I haven't really decided yet, but I hope to see you there. Let me know what you thought, and as always, play Grand Archive and be good to one another. Bye-bye.